If you are currently pregnant and curious about how you are going to take time off as being self-employed or an entrepreneur, stay tuned. It can be actually very, very difficult being an entrepreneur or being self-employed, just because you have all different types of things that you're currently working on when it comes to your customers. I'm going to share with you guys from real life experiences on how I'm able to take time off currently being 35 weeks pregnant. So here are 5 tips to help you keep your business running smoothly and take the time off. The first step and most important is we have to be we have to plan. Planning is probably the most important. You know, it's very, very important that we plan as early as possible, because you never know if your baby's gonna come early, or, you know, and a lot of times in our 3rd trimester, we're feeling super uncomfortable. My recommendation is to make sure we are planning, you know, we have a full plan by the 2nd trimester. That way we need to know exactly what is it that we're going to do by 32 weeks. That's when you have energy, that's when you're not tired. You know, I'm currently in my 3rd trimester and starting to feel more and more uncomfortable. Some things you want to plan before your 3rd trimester is, what is it that I want to accomplish? At this time, you do not want to start any type of new assignments, new projects. That way it's finished by the time the baby comes and you don't have anything to worry about. Already have, you know, the goal should be to have this all planned out by the 2nd trimester. Is, you know, also decide how long do you plan on taking the time off. Super important. And then also understanding that not everything is going to be by plan, and then also consider if for whatever reasons things don't go the way, you know, that you would like. Like, you know, have a plan for that as well. Like with my first, I actually did I caught a blood clot, which actually caused me to take more time off than I would have liked to. I was in the hospital a week after he was born, and, you know, that was never something that I had expected. So it's super important that you understand that not everything is going to go as planned. Also, make sure you plan when you plan to come back to work, plan on like returning. Decide what this time looks like. For me, it helps that I work from home, and if I, you know, so I'm able to do things that, you know, even from working from home, I mean, if I want to hop on the computer real quick, it's not an issue. Another thing I've kind of had to figure out is, how am I going to transition working from home with a 2-year-old plus a newborn. Currently with my toddler, I do all my meetings while he's sleeping, so I'm really truly gonna figure out how that transition is gonna work out with the newborn. So my second tip is to make sure you have a plan when it comes to your maternity for your financials goal. You know, it helps if you are making passive income, then you don't really have to worry about is money coming in, or if money, pretty much having to spend money out of your savings. But if you are not, then have a goal of how much money you're going to make before you take maternity. I think it's super important that we take that into consideration, because someone who is self-employed is not going to get the resources of someone who is employed by an actual company. Also, if you have a savings account, do you plan on using that during your maternity leave? It's very important on taking that into your plan as well. So my third tip is to make sure you have automate, schedule, delegate, or outsource whatever you can. Use software. I know that's really helpful to me to schedule out all of my social media posts. And then also, like when it comes to YouTube, I'm scheduling everything out. I'm using Buffer as a great source to schedule all my social media posts. So my fourth tip is communication. Communication is super important. You know, set expectations with your team or your customers. I think that's very important to talk to people kind of in advance to let them know, hey, I'm taking time off. So make sure that they understand that they will be taken care of during the time that you're off, and who's the person that they should contact if they have any type of issues. when it comes to that way they're not contacting you for anything. I think that's super, super important. If you have a team, make sure you communicate with them and let them know who is their contact during the time that you're not available. That way they're not reaching out to you for anything. So communication is key when it comes to making sure you're taking care of your business. All right, tip number 5. Super, super important that you're super flexible. Understanding not everything goes as planned. Who would have known with my first that I would have caught a blood clot and I would have been off work for a lot longer than I expected. So just understand and that not everything's going to work out like we planned it to be. So tip number 5, be super flexible. Be sure to check out the video that I posted last week. I actually talked about how to create a Facebook cover photo, which I think is super, super important if you are building a personal brand or a local business. And I went into detail showing you guys in Canva step by step on how to do so. Next week I will actually be talking about, planning maternity leave plus working from home with a toddler, and kind of like what is it that I'm doing. So I think that's super important. This month of May, since I am being induced in May, a lot of my content is gonna be towards maternity leave, kind of what is it that I'm doing, just because this is kind of the part of the life that I'm currently in. And then in June, my content will go back to sharing you guys tips on marketing, sharing you guys tips on ways to grow your business online, ways to start your business. But I'm super, super excited about being induced in May. And also guys, I'm scheduling and bashing out all my content. That's kind of what I talked to you guys about today when it comes to maternity leave, that I'm focused on making sure that I'm bashing out content just in case, God forbid something does happen, like with my son. I still have that content that, I want to make sure I'm providing you guys value each week. But I hope you guys have an amazing week. I'll talk to you soon.